Hey guys, this is Phil, and today we're going to be taking a look at something many of you have been asking us for, room clearing. Entering and clearing rooms is one of the core tactics of CQC, close quarter combat, but it's also one of the riskiest. Enemies inside a room have a distinct edge over you, and even a perfect room entry can't guarantee that you won't take a hit. What we're going to do today is go over the way that our team performs room entry and clearing, and we'll go over some helpful tips and tricks along the way. So let's get to it. The first step to room clearing actually starts with the approach. If enemies inside the room know you're outside and are expecting you to come through the doorway, your odds of success drop dramatically, so it's important to be as stealthy as possible. As you approach the doorway, try not to make contact with the outside wall, which can cause your gear to make noise and reveal your presence to those inside. You also need to keep your gun up and ready to engage targets that might emerge from the room, but don't let your gun barrel cross the threshold of the door. Anyone inside will be able to see your barrel and know that you're outside. Additionally, be conscious of any shadows you might be casting on the ground that would reveal your presence. Finally, this goes without saying, but keep quiet. Use hand signals and nonverbal cues to communicate with any teammates that might be outside with you. Once you get to the door, you'll have a couple different options. Generally, as airsofters, we tend to play on fields that we're familiar with, so having an idea of the room's layout can be helpful in determining what to do next, but let's look at a couple different scenarios. Firstly, in any case where you are certain there's an enemy inside the room who is expecting you to come through the door, the preferred course of action is always to throw a grenade in the room. If you attempt to enter the doorway, it is virtually certain that the enemy is going to shoot you. If you don't have a grenade, you should avoid entering in through that door and either find another way in or find some way to distract the enemy. If you're certain there's an enemy inside, but they're not aware of your presence, or they're currently distracted, perhaps they're shooting at someone else, the preferred course of action is still to throw a grenade in the room. However, you can also attempt to slice the pie. Slicing the pie is a fundamental CQC tactic, which involves progressively clearing more and more areas of the room prior to entering it, which helps ensure maximum survivability. To slice the doorway, you should stand about 2 feet back from the entry's threshold with your gun up. You can visually see a little bit into the room and you know that that area is safe. Next, you'll take a small lateral step, revealing a little bit more of the room. If there's still no threat, you'll take another small lateral step, and you'll keep slicing in this way until you either find a threat or you visually cleared the entire room. This is where prior knowledge of the room's layout can help you out. You can look for areas where you think opponents might be hiding. While slicing the pie, it is essential that you keep your gun up and pointed into the room, ready to engage any targets that you come across. You should also keep your elbows nice and tucked in and don't overreach with your feet. The first thing the opponents should see is the barrel and part of your face. Don't be afraid to also lean with your torso if necessary. Once you have finished slicing the pie, make your way through the threshold as quickly as possible and move immediately left or right to the corner that you know the least about or that is the most likely to be dangerous. It's very important not to stick in or around the doorway. Pick a wall and follow it, making sure not to brush up against it with your gear. If this room also has another doorway, keep your rifle covered onto it and move to it, getting ready to repeat the slicing process. In any case where you're not sure if there is or isn't an enemy inside the room, your best bet is to slice the doorway. Now, if you have a spare grenade, you can certainly go ahead and throw it in, but most airsofters tend to carry no more than one grenade, and it's best to reserve their use for situations where there is a known threat. Additionally, if you have a sequence of rooms you know you're going to have to clear, you may not want to reveal your presence to other enemies inside the rooms. If you're looking to enter a room with a team, the principles are still the same, but you'll need to coordinate the entry with your teammates. The lead person, that is the person in front, should only start slicing the doorway once everyone is ready to go, and once you move into the room, do not stop. This may prevent people behind you from actually getting into the room, potentially leaving them exposed outside. Additionally, teammates should alternate whether they go left or right, so if the front person goes left, the next person should go right, and so on. Once the room is clear, the team can collapse in on themselves and get ready to repeat the process if there's another doorway. We won't go into team room entries too much, but suffice it to say that effectively entering and clearing a room with a team takes a lot of practice and coordination. Military and law enforcement teams practice room entries consistently in order to achieve and maintain a high level of proficiency. So we've shown you our method for room clearing, and while we encourage you to go out there and practice slicing the pie, it's important to be realistic in your expectations of how this will help you in CQC. Firstly, even performing a perfect room entry will not guarantee your success. The enemy inside almost always has an edge over you, and while practicing room entry will certainly help improve your proficiency, it will never tip the odds completely in your favor. If the enemy inside is expecting you to come through the doorway, the very best odds you should expect are 50-50. Secondly, you need to make peace with the fact that if you enter a room that has an enemy inside it, you will get shot. Even if you slice the pie perfectly, even if you perform a perfect room entry, and even if you actually shoot the other guy first, it is quite likely that they will still shoot you. Unlike in the real world, where that opponent would actually be dead and unable to shoot back at you, in Airsoft, he will still very much be alive, and the adrenaline will be pumping so much they may not even realize that you shot them first. Then if you don't call the hit, you get into a who shot who first argument, which is no fun for anyone. This is why whenever there's an enemy inside a room and we know they're there, we always prefer to throw a grenade in the room rather than enter ourselves. Finally, you need to realize that you will be shooting players and getting shot at from less than 15 feet away, and sometimes much closer than that. You need to consider the velocity of your airsoft gun and make sure it's acceptable for use at that closer range, and if necessary, switch to a sidearm. We've seen players lose teeth and get BBs lodged in their exposed skin, so it's important to be considerate of other players and play safe. What we've talked about in this video is the way that our team performs room entry and clearing. Practically speaking, our team primarily plays objective-based games on fields with a variety of different environments, and as such, we only use room clearing when we have no other option, because it's so risky. Obviously, if you play on a CQC field, this will be a requirement for you, so make sure you slice those corners and doorways and use grenades whenever possible. We hope you found this video helpful. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.